big shots and he leans in on Gallen. KrisTerzievski! We've got another one. This is the butcher, Nikita. He's brutal. And there's a big shot.
All right, good morning here from the States, Saturday morning, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In a little less than 8 hours, we're going to have two big cards, one starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, another starting at 10 p.m., the first being the card for Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, Undisputed. And then after that card, they're not going to be overlapping. You're going to have Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez in a highly anticipated WBC, WBO unification. But we're going to start this Saturday morning here off in the States with some Australian boxing. May the 11th on main event pay-per-view again for $60. Here, let me pull it up on the screen for you guys. You're going to have Paul Gallen taking on a KrisTerzievski, Nikita Tszyu versus a Mason Smith, and a Harry Garside versus a Layton McFerran. It's an E. I'm confused by this card, and more importantly, I'm very confused that Australians, you guys have to pay $60 on pay-per-view for Paul Gallen versus Journeyman. But hey, I'm not knocking the hustle. I understand, because we've on this channel, I've done a count earlier this morning, that we've done about 20 or so videos that have featured Paul Gallen. 12 of those have been Paul Gallen actual videos, like videos dedicated to him over the last couple of years or so. So I've been watching these fights, getting up early, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning here in the States to be able to cover these events. And to say the least, even though I don't agree with them being on pay-per-view, it would never fly here in the States. But then again, we're putting Jake Paul on pay-per-view, but we'll talk about that later on in the video. But nonetheless, his fights are exciting. Last fight, let me pull up his resume right here. He's 12-1-1 with 7 KOs, 40 years old. In another pay-per-view, he fought a Darcy Lusick. That was a 3rd round stoppage. It was only a 3-round fight. Before that, the big fight with Justin Haney, in which he lost a 10th round stoppage. But at the end of the day, he did win because Haney ended up hurting his hand and not going to the Olympics. And Big J, didn't Paul Gallen promise that?
He did. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well over there. Yeah, mate, he did say that in the promo video that he was going to break his hand, break his jaw, break his rib, do whatever he could to make sure that Olympic dream of his, since he was 7, was going to be fucked. Pretty much his exact words, and that's exactly what happened.
So let's talk about this fight. This guy he's fighting, got his resume pulled up here. Now, let's be honest with the viewers. Listen, this guy hasn't done anything, 10-1-1 with 8 KOs, 32 years old. He's based out of, what does it say? Birthplace was, how do you pronounce that? Craigie Burn,
yeah.
But it says here from BoxRec, his residence is in Melbourne.
Well, Craigieburns a northeastern suburb of Melbourne, so same place.
All right. Yeah. So looking at his resume, last opponent was 3-17, 2-1, 11-1-1. How do you pronounce his name again?
Django Opolu.
Okay, and that basically an 0-3, 2-8. So basically, this is supposed to be just a glorified sparring match, pretty much.
Well, it'll probably be a very quick demolition of Paul Gallen knocking this guy out, or it's going to be a glorified sparring match. But the real thing for this, and people that know Australian boxing understand this, the real thing is that it's not about Paul Gallen, it's about the blokes on the undercard. As Paul said many, many times, he's only in the boxing game to A, make money, and B, give the young fellas on the undercard their chance to make stars out of themselves.
Like
he did
who?
the same with Tim's. Okay. Well, Nikita Tszyu, Harry Garside, and he did the same with Tszyu. I mean, Tszyu appeared on at least 3 of Paul Gallen's undercards. So if you rewind a couple of years back when Tszyu fought Bowen Morgan, the chief support, well, the real reason everyone tuned into that fight was to watch Paul Gallen fight Mark Hunt, and before that, I think was it the same year or the year before, when Paul Gallen fought John Hopewadi, Tszyu featured on that card.
And now look, Tszyu is here fighting in the States on Showtime Championship Boxing Prime Time. And he's now also the WBO mandatory. So, yeah, you know, Paul Gallen, you know, has, you know, we can see right there that he's helped give a fighter a push.
Yeah, and that was his whole intention. Make money, give the young blokes some exposure. So, and he's doing exactly that.
He did say that in his last post-fight interview, you know, he made it very clear, you know, and he also gave away some money as well. You know, like, look, he's doing this, he likes to fight, but he's, you know, like showcasing these younger fighters, and basically he's a promoter.
Pretty much. So,
and he's got
a promoter without being a promoter.
Like, are his pay-per-views successful? Because they gotta have some success if Main Event keeps putting them on. There's got to be some type of financial upside.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what the buys are, and we've spoke to Ben Doman before from Main Event, and they won't release those numbers.
Yeah, he knows, but he can't talk about it. He knows, but I understand.
Yeah, of course he would know, but he's not going to tell us.
Yeah.
But they would be a success, because otherwise they wouldn't have the sheer audacity to charge $60 fucking bucks.
Again, they keep doing it. How many pay-per-views has he had in the last, let's say, 3 years? It's got to be at least 4, right?
Oh shit! Let me count. John Hopewadi, Darcy Lasek, Mark Hunt, Lucas Browne, Justice Haney, and this one. That's 6. But they didn't start doing $60 pay-per-views until Horn versus Zoo. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm positive, Gallen versus Hopewadi was in February before that. So there's at least,
that was in February 2019.
February 2019. Yeah, so there's at least I'm pretty sure the pay-per-views back then were even $50.
But either way, it was pay-per-view though. So that Barry Hall fight was pay-per-view as well, I would imagine. So that's 6 pay-per-views.
Yeah, the Barry Hall fight was pay-per-view. Yeah,
so
that was
pay-per-view. This is his 7th pay-per-view since 2019. 7th pay-per-view at least, because how do you pronounce his name? John Hopewadi?
Hopewadi.
So, and before that, he was on a layoff. You know, so he had a nice little layoff. He was pretty much, you know, in and out. But now, since 2019, you know, he's been active. You know, 2 fights in 2019, obviously because of COVID. You know, he did have the 1 fight, you know, against Mark Hunt. 3 fights, in 2021. And now here he's on the path to have at least 2 fights this year.
Yeah, well, the reason he's more active now because he retired from football. During the Hopewadi fight, I still believe he just retired, or he was still playing that season. Yeah. So now he's been retired now for only 2 or 3 years, if that. So what's the next big fight for him? We talked about it. It's supposed to be, you know, and before we get into the undercard, I guess let's talk about this now. It's supposed to be, you know, well, fans want him to fight Sonny Bill Williams. Now, what's the possibilities? Because I remember reading the comments, you took a lot of heat in the last time we talked about Paul Gallen, Sonny Bill Williams. So what's the update on that now? Is it a possibility, you know, with the, what was you talking about, like network broadcast affiliations? Well, that's right. I mean, Sonny Bill's affiliated with Stan. Sonny Bill's got his own promotional company, and his fight was on Stan. I mean, Paul Gallen is obviously affiliated with No Limit Main Event.
Explain what Stan is and, you know, their impact in Australian media and boxing right now.
Stan is a streaming service they're similar to Netflix. Like they've got a lot of Australian-based shows on there. So they're another streaming service that has broken into Main Event Sport. They started with rugby union about a year or so ago, and now they've broken into boxing. And funnily enough, they had Fury versus White on last week for $60. So
yeah,
they have broken into boxing.
I'm on their website, and it's a very big deal. You know, they got stuff like Breaking Bad, the Office. You know, you can stream on your TV, PS5, Xbox, Apple, computer. You know, they are legit, and they got some money. They have the Office, and they are legit, and they have money to put in, you know, to boxing. So it's safe to say that Sonny Bill is affiliated, with of Stan. And to put it in perspective for American fans, this is just like, let's say Stan is the Zone here in the States, and Sonny Bill Williams is fighting on Showtime pay-per-view. You see what I'm saying? So that's why certain fights, can't be made here in the States because of broadcaster affiliations. And now this is looking like a similar scenario where, Main Event is so heavily invested in Paul Gallen. And right now, Sonny Bill Williams is invested in, Stan is invested in Sonny Bill Williams. So politically, something seems wrong there to where I don't know how they'll be able to make that fight. Somebody would have to be lent out, and you would think that one of these broadcasters would want to be compensated in some type of way. For example, Sonny Bill Williams goes over to Main Event. Main Event may not want that because they don't want to give Stan any type of help, and they may want, a substantial amount of compensation to allow Sonny Bill Williams to fight anywhere else. So for some reason, just off of that alone, I don't see the fight happening anytime soon. But that's what the fans are calling for, right?
Oh, yeah, the fans are calling for it. But as I said before, both of those guys work for Channel 9 Broadcasting, and it ain't going to happen until after the football season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's too many factors. Whether or not Sonny Bill's fight on Stan was a one-time thing, don't know. But
that's
you can clearly see that. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what the details are. Maybe that was a one-time thing, but you can clearly see with the Fury-White fight, which completely came out of the blue. I'm watching YouTube one day, one of our videos. Next thing you know, Stan Fury versus White comes up. I'm saying, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? So obviously Stan's making moves into boxing, along with other sports. They've got motor racing, cricket, and a few other things in there.
So
I think
they've got
breaking
some
into
money
MMA
there
as well. Yeah, they definitely got some coin there. So.
Yeah,
So main event is not going to have the monopoly. Sorry, main event's not going to have the monopoly for much longer if things keep on going the way they go. So,
yeah,
because for the last 20 odd years, it's only ever been main event.
I mean, they've been able to secure, in the Oceanic area, to be able to secure Sonny Bill Williams versus Barry Hall, and then to be able to secure, whether they put it on pay-per-view or not, the rights, just to be able to get the rights to Fury versus White. That's a big deal, and that should be taken of note.
Yeah, exactly. And they charge $60 for it.
But Sonny Bill Williams, since we're, talking about this, 36 years old, here, let me play this clip right here that you sent me. Between Jake Paul, Bunsey from BT Sport over in the UK, and Eddie Hearn. I'm going to play this. Take your time out. Like the video. Subscribe. Tell us in the comments who you want to see Paul Gallen fight next, and what do you think of this Paul Gallen versus Terzievski card. And we're going to talk about the undercard in a minute, but are you buying the pay-per-view? We're going to be here after the fight, May the 11th, covering the fight with a post-fight video. So let's watch this.
He's awful.
You know the fight's here.
Do what?
The fight for you. Which one's Sonny Bill? Yeah. In Australia.
You'll see the shots. You'll see
On
the
a
shots.
Sunday afternoon, prime time here in the US. Huge global audience for rugby. I mean, and it's a good fight. Like he's a bit bigger than you.
He's heavyweight.
He is, but I reckon he can come down.
He's not a big dickhead.
No. I reckon he can make a cruise on just about
190 or 200.
So Jake.
All right, Big J. Well, Sonny Bill Williams, you can see that Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing and The Zone has put in a pitch to Jake Paul for him to fight Sonny Bill Williams. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on this because it's a video within itself, but you can tell it seemed like to me that you think that, Eddie Hearn doesn't know who Sonny Bill Williams is, but judging by the way he was talking, I think it's Jake Paul who doesn't know who Sonny Bill Williams is, and Eddie Hearn, being the salesman that he is trying to push off Sonny Bill as if he's not going to be a threat to Jake Paul, knowing damn well that Sonny Bill will probably put a boot in Jake Paul's ass. Your thoughts?
I'm trying to contain my laughter, but Eddie Hearn is setting Jake Paul up to be friggin' murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sonny Bill Williams is 6 foot, what? 6 foot 3, 6 foot 4. Yeah, 240 pounds of pure muscle. He would fucking destroy Jake Paul in what? I mean, if people don't know who Sonny Bill is, go to our channel, watch the last video we did on Sonny Bill. All right, he knocked out Barry Hall, who's a big guy, 6'5", 200 and what do you weigh in? 218 or something like that.
He was 215, and Sonny Bill came in at 240 and a half.
240 and a half, right? 240 pound, right? Sonny Bill has worked with Fury and Joseph Parker to prepare for that fight. There is no way on God's green earth that Sonny Bill is going to cut down to 200 pound to fight Jake Paul. He physically couldn't do it. I don't think he could do it. He'd probably kill himself trying to do it. He's just all muscle.
And you wouldn't want him. You wouldn't want him in that situation where fans will say, "Oh, Jake Paul had to drain him to beat him." I don't think. I don't think that he should fight any lower, because in his fighting career, looking at Sonny Bill's resume, he's never fought any lower than 229, and that was his debut back in 2009.
And that's when he was an active football player.
Exactly. So he's running, yeah. So he was. So you can tell that he probably, maybe walks around at maybe, a little bit over more than 240, because, he's, has to do cardio.
No. What he looked like at the weigh-in is what he walks around like. He's always like that. He's always in shape. He's always in shape. So he just always looks like that. He's always looked like that from when he debuted. He was 100 kilo when he debuted at like an 18-year-old.
Well, I don't want to see him boiling down to 199 pounds. That doesn't.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. It would be seriously. It would probably really be bad for his health if he did. I don't think he could physically do it. I mean, he's a fucking monster. Look at the size of the guy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him fight Jake Paul because he would knock the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Jake Paul's got a reputation of picking on, smaller, beat up. He was going after Michael Bisping, who's a 43-year-old, one-eyed guy with bad knees. Hey, Jake, I'm a 40-year-old broken down, beat up soldier with half a chest, a bad back, and a surgically repaired abductor. Unlike Shakira, my hips do fucking lie. I'll have a go. Give me $500,000 and I'll fight the little smart ass.
Yeah, because it seems like he doesn't want to fight this. It seems like, like kind of like you say about Tszyu. He's like, a vulture. He's trying to pick off, fighters that have some type of handicap in some type of way.
Yeah, but you can't. I wouldn't put Tszyu and Jake Paul in the same bloody category. That's a little insulting to Tim.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing. But Jake Paul's picking on washed up MMA fighters who never fought fought a boxing match in their fucking lives.
Or trying to fight a guy like Chavez Jr. with who had like training and drug issues. As you said, like Bisping. He's calling out guys, and it's like, okay, like we want to see you fight. A boxer, but we're gonna say we're gonna follow this story as it develops, and see what happens with Sonny Bill Williams' next fight. But let's go ahead and talk about the undercard to wrap this up. Nikita Tszyu, 1-0, 24 years old. Did you get a chance to watch his fight with Aaron Stahl? He's fighting a Mason Smith on the undercard. How do you think he looked? I mean, it was 2 rounds.
Look crisp, look sharp. He said he made a couple of mistakes, but he's on his debut and he hadn't fought in 6 years. So, I said, you couldn't expect much from him. Looked good. He's a southpaw and he can bloody hit. I've heard a lot of reports saying that Nikita is a little bit more dangerous and hits harder than what Tim does. And from what I saw on the first fight, that kid can bang. Yeah. So he's probably going to be very, very early days. I have no real expectations of him. So
it's way too early. He just had one fight, So, but we are definitely going to be watching his career closely. I'm going to say maybe when he gets to about, let's say
12, 13-0.
Yeah, about 10, 13-0, somewhere like that. We'll start, putting him in a rotation and like getting him his own videos out. But right now, we're just like watching to see. It's really, we really have nothing to gain from really covering him and giving him his own videos right now. It's not, but we will be paying attention to his career. Harry Garside, what's the deal with him? 2-0 with 1 KO, also 24 years old. He's fighting Layton McFerran on the Gallen versus Terzievski undercard. What's going on with him?
putting up his Australian lightweight title on the line. Last fight, he won it against, oh God, what was the old mate's name that he fought?
Manuel
Manuel
A. Matat. I don't know. I'm sorry, bro. Not trying to, butcher your name if you're watching.
Yeah, against a very, very solid lightweight fighter.
There was a 10-round fight at this early in his career.
Yep. He went. There was a full. And let me tell you, this Harry Garside. I mean, you don't become an Olympic bronze medalist for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He is slick as buggery. His footwork is amazing. His hand speed is good. His power is solid. He looks the goods. I mean, you can tell just by watching that he is. You haven't seen him fight before, have you?
I saw the clips because it was all over the the feed. The night after his fight. The night of his fight. So I got a chance to check him out.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very slick. His footwork's great. His power's there. He's got the potential. If he keeps going the way he's going, he could be a world champion one day. I mean, that's a long way away. But, you can see, well, being an Olympic bronze medalist, you don't just get that by doing nothing. So I think he's got the potential to make a fairly good career for himself. As long as he doesn't do anything stupid, he should be just fine. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, we'll be paying attention. Let's wrap out the undercard. You're gonna have let's see here.
Sam Goodman's fighting again.
Okay.
So that should be a good fight. Super bantamweight. Good super bantamweight fighter.
10-0.
Lynn Sandstorm's sorry, now you go.
Sam Goodman's 10-0 with 6 KOs, 23 years old. He has the WBO Oriental super bantamweight title. Let's see. I don't think that belt gets you a ranking, but I'm going to check really quickly. I believe he's like one
I don't
more,
think it does.
I believe like one more of those titles, like the one that's above that. I don't know the name of it, but the one that's above that gets him a ranking. And no, he is not ranked.
Which belt has he got? The international or the Oriental?
Oriental. I think it's the international that gets you a ranking. What you say?
I thought it was the Oriental that gave him a ranking, not the international. I thought it was the Oriental.
Let me see. He's not. Let me check. He is. No, he's not ranked.
Oh, okay.
But you would think that maybe, and you would think that the international would give you a ranking because it's international. You see what I'm saying? To the Oriental, that's more localized.
Yeah, the Oriental is just like Australian, Asia, that sort of region. So,
yeah, so you would think that so basically he's about one fight or so away from getting himself into the rankings. And Lynn Sandstrom, that's the only female fighter, right, on the card?
I believe so. Actually, is there another one? Is there a...
Yes, it is.
I thought there was another one. Amber something? Amber somebody? No?
Yes, it is.
No?
Amber Amelia versus Sarah Gallen.
Yeah, not... I think both those girls are 1-0.
Yeah.
Not familiar. They're fighting at featherweight. I think I had a look. Not familiar with either of those girls.
Okay. So basically, what's the 4 fights of the card? It's going to be Gallen, Terzievski, Garside versus McFerran.
Yep.
Nikita Tszyu versus Mason Smith, and I guess we're going to say Goodman versus Fuse. Those are the main 4 fights.
Yeah, that'll be the main 4 fights. I dare say maybe Lynn Sandstrom might kick it off, but certainly the second girls' fight, that'll be probably on Fox, on Fox Sports, regular Fox Sports, on the prelim fights. I couldn't get that out, prelim fights. And as I said, normally with main events, they kick off at 6 with the prelims, 2 prelims, and they start the main
and
event
the prelims
card
will be on
at
Fox
7 o'clock.
Sports Australia.
Yeah, the prelims will be on Fox Sports Australia, and then the main event will kick off at 7 o'clock like they always do. So. All
right, well, we're going to be here after the fight, covering the card. May the 11th, that is a Wednesday morning for me. Big J, closing thoughts?
Looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to like our Harry Garside and Nikita Tszyu. Also looking forward to Sam Goodman, Paul Gallen. That's pretty much it. We all know how that's going to go. So it's just a matter of what round he knocks him out in, I reckon. What do you think? Is it a 10-rounder?
Right now, it doesn't say if it's a 10-rounder. Let me check. Yeah,
well, it is for the Australian and Australian title, so it should be.
And it's for the Australian heavyweight title, so,
Yeah, Justice Haney dropped it because he's fighting Joseph Goodall on June 15 for, I think, 2 or 3 regional belts.
Yeah, and we're going to get a video out on that soon as well.
Yeah, but obviously Paul will win. It's just a matter of what round he's going to knock him out in. Round 8, bugger. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, from the way they set these fights up for Paul Gallen, it should be a knockout, especially looking at the resume of this dude. It should be a knockout, but who knows? But overall, how do you rate the card from an A on an A to F scale?
Give it a B. It's not top tier, but then again, certainly not terrible either. So it's certainly better than the last Paul Gallen pay-per-view, and the less said about that, the better.
Yeah. That's not a price tag, though, even though I'm feeling it, and I'm not even from Australia.
Yeah, solid. I mean, obviously, these things aren't worth $60, but, we can argue about that all we want, but it's not going to make any frigging difference. So, but no, solid. It's a B card. It's a good card. It's a good solid card. So.
All right. So take your time out, like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at @TStreetControversy and old mate Big J. The link to his social media is literally right there in the first paragraph of the description box. All your big time Australian boxing, we have been consistent in covering it on the channel now for about 2 years plus. Thank you for all the longtime supporters and the people who have been watching, let us know down below in the comments how you feel about the card, any fighters you want us to look out for, or any content that you're interested in hearing our thoughts on. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and see you guys later.